us break the mold. Chasing the stories yet unfold. Passion ignites like a blazing fire. Knowledge takes us higher, higher. Out of the box where the wild ones play. We see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. The field's alive with endless dreams. We're more than stats, we're the in-between. A slam dunk thought.
What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry. And oh boy, do we have some stuff to talk about, I guess, right? Hope everybody's doing well out there. It's been about a month or so since I've been on last. And how things have changed. So I might as well just kick it right off, right? Before we get started, of course, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. And that's our boy, your boy, everybody's boy, Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And he has 2 offices in Pennsylvania, one in Pittsburgh, located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And his office in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. Be sure to let Big Al know that you're a part of the Out of the Box Sports family, and he will hook you up with a great deal. All right. So, yes. So, we had some stuff going on here. So, a few days back, the Raiders trade away Maxx Crosby. And, Raider Nation is crushed. It's something like my last show that I was on. I said, if the Raiders are going to trade Maxx Crosby, now is the time to do it. Because his value right now will never be higher than it is because he's going to continue getting older. And we've seen over the last few seasons that injuries are starting to creep in. Knee injuries, lower leg injuries, and stuff like that are starting to creep in. And that's the nature of the beast when you're a lineman, offensive or defensive lineman, especially with Maxx Crosby. Just the wear and tear the man puts on his body, being out there just about every single play, playing 94% of the snaps. And it's just insanity. And with the motor that he has, constant go, 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 no plays off type of guy, injuries are bound to happen. So you fast forward through the season, the shit show that it was. And a couple games to go left in the season. The Raiders are kind of shooting for that number 1 overall pick. So the word tanking starts coming in, involved and stuff like that. So certain players are starting to be sat and whatnot. And Maxx Crosby was one of them. And he did have a lingering knee issue from earlier in the season. So that was the explanation behind it. Well, Maxx was pissed. And he felt like he could continue playing on it, continue playing at a high level, which he was. Before the Raiders even sat him, he was playing at a really high level. He was playing well for even having a meniscus issue. But they still sat him. They wanted to figure out a way to make sure to ensure that they got that number 1 overall pick, and they did. And I don't know if Maxx being out there to play those last couple games, if that would have mattered or not in solidifying that number 1 pick or not. I'm not really sure because you do have to put points on the board in order to win games, and that's something that being on the defensive side of the field you don't do a whole lot of, and being a part of the Raiders defense. You don't do that at all. It's very rare that the Raiders get any kind of turnovers on defense, and then even scoring on them. It's been a couple of years. So I don't know if it would have mattered or not. But looking, fast forward and past that, the Raiders sat him. Maxx was pissed. Start hearing these rumors that a trade's going to happen. Max doesn't want to be in Las Vegas anymore. Max says he's a Raider. Blah blah blah. This that the other. Well, it turns out his knee was worse than originally thought. They opened him up, and it wasn't just a meniscus cleaning. It was a meniscus repair. So a meniscus cleaning, trimming and stuff like that. For all you doctors out there, I'm not a doctor, but I do play one on TV. We're on a podcast. The meniscus repair is some trimming and stuff like that. Usually, it's like a 2 to 4 week process. Coming back from that, so it's not a major surgery. I myself, when I was a senior in high school, after my senior year of football, I had my knee scoped and they cleaned up the meniscus a little bit and stuff like that. And I think I was after about 3 weeks or so, I was pretty much back to doing normal everyday type things. Now I wasn't playing football anymore, so it's a little bit different. I wasn't a finely tuned machine like this man is, but still, that's a meniscus repair. Now, meniscus, or that was meniscus cleaning. A meniscus repair involves a lot more, and I don't know what it involves because, like I said before, I'm not really a doctor, but it's a 4 to 6 month recovery period. So there's that. So Max has the knee repaired. He has it. He has it. The surgery back in, I think it was in late January, perhaps mid to late January, somewhere. It is after the season. So he has it, the procedure, and he's going through recovery now, going through rehab. Just killing it at rehab. There's nothing that the man does that isn't 100% effort. He's just a ball of effort, that lad. So he's going through rehab, and by everything that we've seen by him posting on social media, you know, shooting some hoops. He wasn't playing basketball; he was shooting hoops. It's shooting the ball up, towards the net and stuff like that, and you know, he wasn't running around. He wasn't overexerting himself. We'll just say that. But mobility, he was moving around well. He looked good. So we have reports that the Raiders, the Maxx wants out of Las Vegas. The Raiders are going to trade him. A whole firestorm, goes on with this. Maxx doesn't want to leave. He wants to be a Raider. Maxx comes on, and he never outrightly says that he wants to remain with the Raiders. He said stuff, bleed silver and black. My home is in Vegas, blah, blah, blah. He loves Raider Nation, this, that, the other, but never came out and really said that he's not leaving Las Vegas. So you fast forward a little bit, and the Raiders decide to trade Maxx Crosby. And, they said they want 2 first-round picks and a impactful player. So it's kind of see what the market was. They had some suitors, they had some people kind of poking around a little bit, poking them with a stick. And lo and behold, the winner of that sweepstakes was the Baltimore Ravens. They threw out 2 first-round picks, which is fantastic. A 14 this year, and next year remains to be seen. So they're number 14th overall pick. So knowing that Maxx, all right, is injured here, he has to go through a physical in order for the trade to be completed. Now, if Maxx fails the physical, it's up to the team that traded for him if they'd like to still continue taking on that trade, that contract and whatnot. And the Ravens decided that it was bad enough for they didn't want to do it. So you kind of look at what was going on through the first couple days of the NFL legal tampering period for free agency, where there's no real signings, but there's agreements. And the Baltimore Ravens lost a ton of players. I've seen some reports where it said they lost 11 players. I've seen some reports where they said they lost 7 players. So somewhere between 7 and 11. I don't know. I'm not really 100% sure how many players the Ravens lost or were going to possibly lose. And so there may have been some buyer's remorse in this. My personal thought was that there's probably a little bit of both. I feel like there was a lot of cold feet. They kind of got into it. They see what, the 2 first-round picks for a franchise that since becoming the Baltimore Ravens has never traded away first-round pick, never, and they're getting ready to do 2 of them. And is Crosby an impactful player? Hell yeah, he's an impactful player. Absolutely. But when you're losing a chunk of your roster potentially in free agency, uh, he's not going to be enough. So I feel like they started realizing that. So, the money that we're putting into this guy, we're going to have to kind of get back and fill out our roster with some good to decent, some decent to good players in order to contend in the AFC and not waste another year of Lamar Jackson's career. So there's that. The other part of it is, they all right, meniscus repair 4 to 6 months. The doctors are looking at it and they're looking at his his images, of his knee and whatnot or whatever. And some of the doctors, because it was a couple doctors, some of the reports I heard, there were a few doctors that looked at it, and maybe they went back to Baltimore and said, "Hey, listen, this is this and this is that, and it doesn't look all that great, or it's not progressing the way it should, or maybe there's some wear and tear they saw in some of these images that this is going to lead to an issue later this season or possibly or next season or somewhere in the near future. This could lead to a potentially bigger issue in the knee. That very well could be a part of it. And then you kind of look at it like, all right, you can't really blame the Ravens too much on that. But again, I feel like if I had to put a percentage to it, I feel like this is 80% cold feet and 20% like, well, it's worse than we thought it was. I really do. I feel like it's cold feet. They're getting ready to say I do at the altar, and they turn around, they got the hell out of there. It's like, nope, can't do it. Nope, sorry. And it pisses me off. It pisses a ton of Raiders fans off because it shaped our free agency period, so far. Again, they're all agreements. They're not official signings yet, but we're looking at, okay, we have 125 to 130 million-dollar in cap space with Maxx being traded. What are we doing? What do we need? What are our needs? Our needs are our offensive linemen. We need linebackers. We need secondary guys. We need wide receivers. We need running backs. We're a team with a ton of holes, a ton of needs, and we have the capital. We have what appears to be smart people in place to distribute that capital amongst the players that the Raiders could possibly need where they help the team. Young players signing for multi-year deals, which is something I wasn't 100% sure they'd get because it was so bad last season that who the hell would want to come to Las Vegas, right? You knew they were going to have to overpay for some guys, and they did. And that's just a nature of the beast when you're a poor team. When you're not a very good run front franchise, you're a poor team. That's the nature of the beast. Sometimes you have to overpay, get your reputation back, and then you can kind of haggle a little bit. Like, you know what? We're a perennial playoff team. We don't need to overpay. They should be coming to us and looking for friendlier deals. They want to win, stuff like that. So we want to be known as one of those teams where players who are stuck in a sour situation in a franchise, they want to look to go win a Super Bowl or at least be in the playoffs year in and year out, or contend for playoffs, contend for Super Bowls. We want to be that team that players look at as like that. It's been a long time. And so after the Maxx Crosby trade agreement, it looks like we could have been on our way. We had a hell of a first day signing Tyler Lindenbaum. That was the main piece of all this free agency was Tyler Lindenbaum, one of the best centers, if not the best center in all professional football. And you kind of knew that you might have to overpay for him, and the Raiders did. In the tune of 3 years, $81 million, $60 million guaranteed, and you're looking at a 27. I think it's 27 a year if you split it up. And from all reports again that I read that he was expected to get 24. The Raiders throw, hey, we got this money, throw 27 at the guy. He can't say no. There you go. So we get Linderbaum. Quay Walker, linebacker, fantastic linebacker out of Green Bay. 100 plus tackles, I think 4 out of 5 seasons that he's played so far, which is unheard of. Green Bay has like their whole history has had 5 guys get over 100 tackles, which is amazing. N'Kobe Dean, Philadelphia Eagle, a difference maker, a playmaker. Another Georgia Bulldog. A couple guys, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Georgia Bulldogs. The Raiders bring him in 3 years, 36 million right away. You know, 3 years, $40.5 million. Quay Walker, 3 years, $36 million for Nakobe Dean right away. Our linebacking core totally turned around, absolutely turned around, looking really, really good. Then they go out there. All right, we need a receiver. You know, there's no real true number ones out there. We were looking at Alec Pierce a lot, possibly, but you look at him and he's, you know, not really your typical number one type receiver. But he re-signs with the Colts, and the Raiders signed Jalen Nailor. Jalen Nailor, not a number one type receiver, but he can stretch the field, averaging over 15 yards per catch. Something like out of 49 or 50 targets last year, he dropped one pass. But also, he's playing behind two phenomenal receivers in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and so it's hard to get some balls with those guys out there in the field. So Jalen Nailor, that could be a huge signing once he signs, puts pen to paper here. Kwity Paye now with Maxx leaving, you know, you're looking for edge guy, outside linebacker type with the new 3-4 defense that's going to be ran by Robbie Leonard. So the Raiders turn to Kwity Paye, you know, really good run stopper on the outside there. He knows how to set the edge. Very good. All right, we'll take that. You know, maybe overpaid for him a little bit. 3 years, $48 million. Jalen Nailor, 3 years, $35 million. $35 million, not $35, $35 million. Million. They also re-signed Eric Stokes. That's another big one. Our best secondary guy last year, former number one overall pick. The Raiders had him on a one-year deal last year, kind of a prove-it deal, stay healthy, stayed healthy, did very good for the Raiders. Bringing him back is huge. So now we get Eric Stokes back. The Raiders re-signed Malcolm Kuntz, 1 year, $11 million. I'm not 100% overly thrilled about it, but I understand it. Again, I had ACL surgery my sophomore year of high school, and I understand the how hard it is to come back from that. And it takes a long time, you know, not only physically but also mentally to come back after a torn ACL, torn anything. And you know, so he tore his ACL in 2024. Was it 2024? Yeah, beginning of 2024. So he was out all of 2024, you know, before the season started. Came back 2025. Wasn't the same guy, but by the end of the season, I think he had 4 sacks over the last handful of games. Started looking much better. Started looking like the guy that they're hoping he was going to be in 2024 before he got injured. So you know what? I can kind of see that. Maxx is gone. Maybe Malcolm Kuntz could be that disruptor. Not quite the same motor as Maxx, but the dude can get it. Can get to it. So there was that. So some great signings there. Matt Gay, kicker. So that, you know, bye Daniel Carlson probably. I wanted to keep Daniel Carlson, and I still think he's a very good kicker. But the Mets or the Raiders, I did it again. Mets. It's a Wednesday. I always do Mets on a Wednesday. I used to anyway. They're bringing in Matt Gay, and so yeah, I'm not overly thrilled about that signing. It is what it is. Don't know what his contract is. The Raiders also traded for cornerback Taron Johnson, and they also sent a 7th round pick with him to Buffalo for a 6th round pick. They're also trading Geno Smith and a 7th rounder for a 6th round pick, and the Raiders are going to pay him $16.2 million to leave, and I think that's well worth it. So we have all this stuff going on here, you know, assuming that Maxx is traded to the Baltimore Ravens. And now with this falling through, the big question is, what the hell happens to all these moves? You know, assuming that Maxx is no longer with us, you make these moves assuming that. What happens? Do the Raiders have enough cap space to do all these signings? Do the Raiders want to make all these signings now if Maxx stays? I don't think Maxx stays. I really don't. I'm going to get to the comments here real quick before I get too far into this. We have a few here. Michael Papernick checking in. What's up, Pap? He said, so I read the Raiders are willing to keep Maxx after the trade fell through. We'll see. I'm going to talk about that in 1 second here. Pap says, so if Max still with the Raiders and all decent moves made in free agency and trades and re-signing some players, do you think Max might change his mind and want to stay? Uh, Kimberly, now this is who broke the news to me last night. Was my aunt, my sweet aunt Kimberly, Kim Blum. Thank you for checking the show out. I appreciate it. Uh, but I was just hanging out at home, thinking about, oh, this sucks. I have to go to work soon, all that stuff, working night shift, blows, blah, blah, blah. I hate this, whatever. Just messing around. But she sent me, and I look at my phone, and it's a text message, and I'm like, no, I think that's just like a AI or whatever, a little uh, statement put out by the Raiders saying that Baltimore has backed out. There's no further comment as of now. And I read it, then I immediately jump online and start going through all these different Raider type fan pages and stuff, and it's just popping up everywhere. And then you start getting the official words from guys like Schefter and this and that and the other and all those other guys. And so Kim is the one that broke it to me. There we go. Uh, she said, I read this morning they are going to honor all new signings. And I did read that also. Um, Atlas the Aussie. There we go. It's small letters here on my screen. Even got the spectacles on. I still couldn't read it. Ravens just signed Trey Henderson. You can see that. You can see this one coming a mile away. Everybody called it as soon as that happened. Ravens just signed Trey Hendrickson, 4 years, $112 million. You can't blame them. Again, you can't blame them. They need an edge guy, an edge rusher, and so they got one. And there's that. So Joe Burrow was excited that Max wasn't coming to the Ravens, and then he went, "Oh," when Trey Hendrickson signs with just signed with him. So it is what it is. I'm not overly surprised by that. Nobody should be surprised by that at all. Thank you for checking out the show, Atlas. I appreciate it very much. Pap says the Ravens signed Trey Hendrickson, 112, possibly as high as 130 million. Atlas the Aussie says they just wanted to get their picks. Y'all got bamboozled. Yeah, and absolutely, I believe that. I felt there's definitely buyer's remorse here. If it was, let's say it was a first round this year, and maybe like a second or third round next year, or 2 second-round picks. I'm telling you, that physical wouldn't have mattered to anything. If it was 2 second-round picks, they'd be like, oh, all right, shit. So it's not as good as we thought it was. He'll still be able to start the season. He'll still make all the camps and stuff like that. But he failed the physical. Oh well, we'll still take on the contract. We'll still take on the trade. But because it was 2 first-round picks, a huge trade. And it's 100%. I believe a large part of it is buyer's remorse. Absolutely. Pap says, so I just heard on the NFL Network that some agents and other teams don't trust the Ravens with what Crosby and with what happened with Crosby and the Raiders. Yeah, I mean, could you right now? I mean, you'd have to assume more is going to come out of this. More reporting as to exactly what those doctors or exactly what the Ravens were thinking or what have you, what their final thoughts were on it. Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back on this that made them say, you know what, we can't do this. You have to assume something's going to come out about that. And I'll tell you what, if there's somebody that doesn't really need a fire lit under their ass, but if you give them another reason to have a chip on their shoulder, it's Maxx Crosby. It's giving that guy reasons to be pissed and reasons to push harder and harder. That's one guy I won't want to be on the wrong side of. The dude is just an absolute savage. He's a beast. He's a monster. He's a machine. And you just kicked him up a notch here. By stepping away from him. Kind of like not trusting his doctors, not trusting his ability to get back on the field and stay on the field. A whole lot of mistrust, and I feel like the Ravens, made a very, very big mistake, and I feel like that whoever does get Max Crosby, whether it's the Raiders or somebody else, uh, I feel like that they're going to get somebody that's extremely, extremely motivated. Even more so than before. And he's a motivated dude. So, uh, it guy. Atlas says the it guy. Yes, I believe so. I don't know. Pap says, well, if Max is still available, I'm hoping my Eagles go get Crosby. And the Eagles are one of the teams that were in play for Crosby before the agreement with the Ravens. And so yeah, and so some of the questions that have popped up were uh, now Max has seen what the Raiders have potentially done with their roster. Again, nothing's official until they put pen to paper, and they can do that today, 4 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see after 4 p.m. Eastern what's actually going on here, who signs, if they all sign right away or not. We'll figure out. I mean, I would have to assume. I think usually they have the players in house, like they'll come in and into Las Vegas to sign. So you probably know when those guys start arriving in Las Vegas if they're signing or what have you. We'll see what happens there. But you have to wonder if Max saw what the Raiders did with their cap space, smart moves, something they're not really known for is smart moves, and had maybe has second thoughts. Maybe he doesn't want to leave Las Vegas. I don't know. But do the Raiders want to keep him now? You know, they're still. I still believe that they're going to trade Max Crosby. I still believe that Max is kind of over it. Loves being a Raider. And I believe Max 100% when he says this stuff. When he says, "I love being a Raider. I am a Raider. I bleed silver and black. I love Raider Nation. I love the fans." I do believe that 100%. And it's rare that you feel that about uh, any player. When what they're saying about a fan base or a team, about how much they enjoy it or they love it, like it's rare that you actually believe them. And for me personally, for recent memory anyway, the only person that I could think of in teams that I follow, teams that I like, that when they said something like that, I believe was David Wright of the Mets. He loved the Mets. He loved New York. He loved the Mets fans, organization, bleed orange and blue, all that good stuff. The Captain America. Uh, I believe David Wright. There isn't too many players like, I'm a huge Pete Alonso fan, which is a kind of a funny story here. It's kind of weird that both of my favorite sports teams, two of my favorite sports teams, uh, either trade away or lose their top player. In my opinion, Pete Alonso was the Mets' top player last year. It was the kind of the face of their franchise, heading up to Juan Soto. I mean, Juan Soto, you could argue was better than Pete last year, but again, you could argue either way with that one. Looking at it probably in hindsight, maybe Juan Soto was did have a better season than Pete Alonso, but still, irregardless, it's kind of weird that both my two of my favorite teams kind of just trading away or not re-signing one of the faces of their franchise. It's whatever, but it was kind of funny in my own little world anyway. But back to what I was saying. So when Max says how much he loves Raider Nation and all that stuff, you believe him. And he said in his goodbye address that he plans on coming back and he wants to end his career as a Raider and all that stuff. And that I believe him, and I believe the Raiders would do that. I mean, Charles Woodson did it, and I don't remember if Woodson was traded away or if he was just not re-signed or anything like that. I don't remember what exactly it was, which sent him to Green Bay. And he was able to get his Super Bowl there, and eventually does come back and play a couple more seasons with the Raiders, and then retires as a Raider, which was fantastic. And when it was announced that Max was traded away, the fans, as upset as they were, pissed at the Raiders for doing that. It's you have to realize it's a business. I mean, there's not many players that finish a full career with their franchise. You're just looking at the Raiders franchise. You can go through all the many years with superstar Raiders that didn't finish their career with the Raiders or left at one point and then came back. I mean, like I just said, Charles Woodson was one. Kenny Stabler, he was one. So see Tim Brown. So you can go through it and just cherry pick throughout the years that guys that left and at the end of their career or left and came back and whatnot. So, but anyway, kind of getting back to what I was saying. So I don't even know what the hell I was saying, but Max, he could come back. He sees the roster the way it could potentially be if all these players get signed. It could reinvigorate him and have he could have that faith in the front office, and perhaps he'd want to come back now. But I feel like one of the big sticking points is I've heard on a couple different podcasts about him not getting along with Tom Brady's right hand man, the TB12 guy whose name escapes me right now, Alex Guerrero. That's it, Alex Guerrero. Not getting along with Alex Guerrero. And if you don't get along with Alex Guerrero, something we know from Tom Brady, from his Patriot days, you don't get along with Alex Guerrero, you don't get along with Tom Brady. And I feel like that's when the cracks started to appear between Brady and the Patriots. So with Brady calling the shots and Alex Guerrero being his lapdog or whatever the hell he is. I mean, there was also a lot of guys that praised Alex Guerrero from what I heard on reports and stuff like that. During training camps and stuff he was able to help a lot of players recover and preserve their bodies through the brutal training camps in Las Vegas. So so not everybody does not like the guy, but for some reason he and Maxx butted heads and just don't get along. Maxx doesn't like him. I don't know if Alex Guerrero doesn't like Maxx. Who knows? Maybe Alex Guerrero likes Maxx, and he's kind of stunned or shocked that Maxx doesn't like him. He's like, "What the hell, man?" But anyway, so maybe that could be a sticking point too, where Maxx like, I'm not coming back if this douchebag's still here. I'm not doing it. And there was also when it was announced that Maxx was being traded, some stuff started leaking out, or maybe not a leak, maybe purposely being put out there that Maxx and Mark Davis had a meeting months ago, and during the season about Max's future. And after a long meeting, I assume it was long. I don't know how long it was. What the hell do I know? But after a meeting, they came together, talked, they shared stories and had a chuckle and talked, seriously and whatnot. And it was agreed by both that maybe, it's time for Maxx to explore, to go out and, move on. So it's not like this came upon recently. This happened during the season with the top dog, Mark Davis, Maxx Crosby. And we all know that Mark Davis loves Maxx. Maxx loves Mark. I wouldn't be surprised when Maxx gets older in his 50s and 60s if he doesn't have hair like Mark Davis. I will have to wait and see. And hopefully Maxx is, one of those guys that an always Raider. So a forever Raider. So we can see him when he's 50 and 60 years old and his sweet bowl cut that he may have, or he may not have. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, so this was decided months ago during the season. So this wasn't something that just happened over the last couple of weeks or whatever, even though it seems like that. And you got to give kudos to Maxx, for keeping it hush. Mark Davis for keeping it hush. Nothing was really leaked out. There was smoke, but there's been smoke the last couple of years. So there was that. So you fast forward. So if Maxx doesn't stay, what's out there for Maxx? It was reported by Schefter, I believe, that there are several teams that have been in contact with the Raiders as to the availability of Maxx Crosby. So what could the Raiders possibly get for Maxx now? That's the big question. They're not getting two number ones. That was a pipe dream, and they had it. They could touch it. They could taste it. They could taste those number one picks, and they're snatched out of their mouth. So that's not going to happen again. They're not going to get two number ones. Me personally, I believe I could see them still get a number one this year. It's not going to be a top 15 pick. It's going to be from one of those teams that are picking in the 20s, late round first, which may not be ideal for you anymore. That 14 pick, looked pretty sweet, but I do believe they'll get a number one this year. And either it's going to be a later round, like a second or a third round pick next year, or a player. I could see one of those two happening. So that I do believe that Maxx will still get traded. As sucky as it sounds, I want Maxx to stay as much as the other person. But if the Raiders are going to strike, if the Raiders are going to trade Maxx, like I said a month ago on the Silver and Black Lair, here on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, this is the season where if the Raiders are going to do it, if they're going to trade Maxx, it has to be this season because he's going to get older. There's going to be more wear and tear on those legs, and the draft capital is not going to be any higher. So striking while the iron's hot. That's all it is. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. And I feel like a lot of it's going to be sorted out today after we see who signs and who doesn't sign. Like if you go out there and the Raiders for some reason pull the contract out from Kwity Paye, that could tell you that maybe Maxx is staying. Maybe Maxx is staying. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't think the Raiders will do that. Like my aunt Kimberly Blum said, that the reports are that the Raiders are going to honor all the contracts. Let me see where that comment's at. Right here. I said I read this morning that they are going to honor all the new signings, and do all the new signings want to come? So who's to say? Because again, and this is something I talked about with a couple guys at work last night. Who's to say that Tyler Linderbaum's like, sitting there, he's, all right, trying on his new silver and black hat, look at the little Raider shield on there. It's like, oh, that's pretty sweet, man. That's the best, best logo, best merch you can get in the NFL, any sports, the Raider logo, the Raider shield, iconic. And who's to say the Ravens call up and, say, hey, the Raiders offered you 27, what do you think about 28? And they pull the rug, because nothing's official. Nothing's official until it's signed. So who's to say that doesn't happen? So it's going to be interesting until 4 p.m. Eastern and see who signs and who signs right away and what happens from there. But I don't know what kind of cap space the Ravens do have, especially after signing Trey Hendrickson, 4 years, $112 million, broke here on Silver and Black Lair by Atlas the Aussie and Michael Papernick Jr. Thank you guys for breaking that. You two are my shefters, my shefties. I got a couple more comments here. Like Pap said, he hopes the Eagles get him. So there was talk about the Eagles being in play before, and it was a first round, and Jesus Christ, I can't think of the guy's name right now. Jalen, their defensive tackle from Georgia. But there's some character issues from years ago. I don't know if he still has those problems or not. What was it? He was in a DUI accident or something like that, and that was right after the whole Henry Ruggs incident. So I don't know what would happen there. But the Eagles, if there's any way they can, swing something, put something together real quick and make it look great, Howie is the man. So we'll have to see. Pap says, you think with this happening, the Raiders will still get 2 first-round picks or something different? Yeah, I think something different. Like I just said, it's not going to be 2 first-round picks. No way that's going to happen. Like I said, it was a pipe dream to begin with. But they said they were going to stick to their guns, and they're going to get what they want, or they're not going to trade him because he's under contract. They don't have to trade him. But I don't know if they're staying tight with that or not. If they're going to continue going along that line where we don't have to trade him, we want 2 1s. I don't see that happening. DB handle 2019. DB handle 2019. I don't know if I'm saying that right. DeBeer handle, DBER handle, DBER handle, whatever. Thanks for checking out the show, DB. I appreciate it very much. Like, follow, subscribe to Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Also, my YouTube page at the Bat Fry Pods on YouTube. That'd be awesome. But first and foremost, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Check out all of our great shows here. DB says, with all the financial commitments the Raiders made, how are they going to afford this? Well, and so that was the interesting. That was my first thought as well, DB. And I'm sure that was a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of other football fans, folks around, that are fans of other teams. They wonder, well, how the hell the Raiders going to afford all this now with Maxx coming back? Maybe some of the guys that they signed, might be available again. Well, from everything that I've seen, I've seen some fans put some stuff together online, which made sense. I seen some of the talking heads on popular networks. I'm trying to I can't think of who the hell it was. It wasn't Schefter. It was God damn it, I can't think of the freaking guy's name now. But he's one of the more popular guys talking about it. And so from everything that I've read, if Maxx stays on, the Raiders could be around anywhere between 37 and 38 million dollars of cap space available yet. And after the rookie, after all their draft picks, if they draft all their draft picks, and I guess with the rookie draft allotment for the season, which was, it came out to like 22 some million dollars. And this was done by a fan. It was a really neat chart he did. I wanted to get a screenshot of it, but I did not, and I lost it then. So, but it said there was after the draft, there was still 12 to 13 million dollars available in cap space after the draft. So with that being said, all these contracts that I read, Linderbaum 3 years, 81 million. Quay Walker 3 years, 40.5 million. Nakobe Dean 3 years, 36 million. Jalen Naylor 3 years, 35. Quiddy Page 3 years, 48. Eric Stokes 3 years, 30. Malcolm Kuntz 1 year, 11. Traded for Taron Johnson. I'm not 100% sure what that contract is. And Matt Gay, for some reason, we don't know what his contract is. After all that, we don't know what the breakdown year by year is. At least I don't. I didn't see anything where I had it listed. I don't think those details are out there until these contracts are signed. So there could be more than that available. Let's say Nakobe Dean, 3 years, $36 million. Quick math. I'm a math magician. 12 million per year, right? Right. Who's to say that he doesn't go, 8 million the first year, 14 million the next 2 years, or whatever. Who's to say that doesn't happen? So you're not really 100% sure what it's going to be until these guys sign the contracts, and you can kind of see what the year by year breakdown is, and that's what your year by year cap room would be. There's a whole lot of other math that goes into that too, and I am not going to lie, I don't understand any of it. I was looking at the grid for this that this fan broke down off of, I think it was Sport Track. And I was looking at the grid and I was like, where in the hell are those numbers coming from? But when you look at it, like, okay, that's the same number I heard from 3 or 4 different other people, including some of the more popular talking heads, some of the more popular gas bags, if you will. So this is looking like between 37 and 38 million dollars if Maxx stays, and after the rookie class is signed, if you draft every pick that you have, we're looking at like somewhere between 12 and 13 million available yet. So still a little bit of room, not where we wanted to be, but workable yet. Still workable. All right. Atlas, the Aussie, says team's decision not to bring Charles back. Okay. And I couldn't remember exactly what it was with Charles Woodson. I couldn't remember if he was traded or just not re-signed. I wasn't really 100% sure what it was. I just remember I had a Charles Woodson jersey and I was ultra pissed. God damn it. But anyway, that's what happens when you buy a jersey. So that's the other thing I've seen some people, talking about, what are they going to do with their Maxx jersey now? He's one of those players that even though he's only been with the Raiders for 7 years, I feel like he's already cemented his legacy with the Raiders. He's one of those forever Raiders, once a Raider, always a Raider kind of guys. And I think you're all right to keep your Max jersey. I feel like you're all right to keep your Crosby jersey, the '98, and still wear it because he will forever be known as a Raider. I just can't fathom it not being a thing, even if he plays for whoever, if he goes Canadian Football League or something. I don't know. It's yeah. And same thing with Charles Woodson. Again, when Woodson left the Raiders let him go, let him walk, or what have you. I had my Woodson jersey. I still kept it and I still wore it. I do believe I ended up giving it to my aunt Kim, who commented on here earlier. But I can't remember if that was a thing or not. If I made that up in my head, I don't remember. Uh, Atlas Yossi says Denver 2 rounder, second rounder. Uh, Jordan Davis. Hmm. Oh, Jordan Davis, is that's not the lad from the Eagles, right? No, I feel like that was a Jalen or Jaden or something. I don't know what the hell his name is. I tell you what. If the Raiders were to trade Max Crosby to the Broncos, I'd be I'd be not a happy fan. I hate the Broncos with a passion. That's one place I would not want him to go. Pap says the Eagles are not going to include Jalen Carter. That's it. In a trade for Crosby, I can see picks and Nolan Smith to the Raiders. But I keep hearing about Jalen Carter. The Eagles looking are shopping Jalen Carter. Why are they shopping Jalen Carter? 'Cause I know he's a very good defensive lineman. I don't know what the issue is there. Is it just coming to the end of his contract or something? I don't know. But that's what I thought I've heard. Uh, Alice Yossi says over cap has you at 37 mil with honoring all signings. Yeah. So again, it's not knowing what each year by year breakdown is. 37 mil would be, I guess, your even breakdown for every one of those contracts, and not knowing what Matt Gay is being signed for. I still wish they would just re-sign Carlson. I don't get it. I guess money wise, I don't know. Uh, Jeff name is 4172. I believe this says Jeff name is 4172. Thanks for checking out the show, Jeff. I appreciate it very much. Give us a like and follow. Subscribe to that channel. Hit that notification bell. All that good stuff. Says y'all got a good one in Nakobe. Just needs to stay healthy, but he's a great ball hawk. Yeah, absolutely. And me living where I live in Pennsylvania, on TV, it's the Eagles. We get the Eagles, we get the Steelers, we get the Cowboys, we get the Giants, Jets, and sometimes the Commanders. But it's the Eagles are on. They're on. That is what it is. So I've seen plenty of Eagles games, and Nakobe Dean's very very good linebacker. Super excited to get him. Uh, as part of our linebacking core, especially with Quay Walker. And I kind of see where the Raiders are going to go with that, especially a 3-4 defense. I'm excited to see what Robbie Leonard brings to the table with that 3-4 defense. Who they're going to have standing up, who they're going to have down, and all that good stuff. All right. KC Chief 4500 says, thanks for checking out the show, KC Chief. I appreciate it. Give us a like and follow if you're looking to turn to the dark side, or if you just want to watch me stutter and stumble over my words. That's I appreciate it very much. But Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, we have a whole bunch of shows covering other teams and other sports and whatnot. So be sure to check that out. Or if KC Chief, you want to start a podcast talking about the Chiefs, let us know and we could hook you up. Maxx 2KC for pick 29. No, thank you. Well, I'll tell you, that would be something though. Seeing him and Mahomes on the same team, especially with all the shit talking over the years between those two guys. Again, it's a mutual respect. Both have said it. But when they get between those lines, they give it to each other, and it's always one of the more entertaining games to watch. Because Max brings a little extra juice to Patrick, and Patrick, pretty much the same. Hate on the Chiefs as much as you want. Hate on Mahomes with the voice or whatever. I don't hear the Kermit the Frog thing. I don't know. I get the voice part of it, but I don't hear Kermit the Frog, so I don't know where that all came from. But anyway, uh, he's a hell of a football player. He really is. I mean, the Chiefs caught lightning in a bottle, and good for them. Like, I was always a big Andy Reid fan. Again, being from Pennsylvania, living in Pennsylvania, being from Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania. Seeing Andy Reid when he coached with the Eagles, I always thought he got a bum rap there, uh, which is easy for me to say because I'm not an Eagles fan. But most Eagles fans would say otherwise, or did say otherwise back then. Maybe not now. But anyway, uh, but their GM as well is from the coal region here in Pennsylvania, the Chiefs GM. So I hate the Chiefs because they're in the AFC West, but I respect the Chiefs. Hate the Broncos. They can lick my ass. So sorry, guy. The guy is a coworker of mine who's a Bronco fan. I always tease him how much I hate the Broncos. Pap said, would you take AJ Brown in a trade with the Eagles for Crosby and picks from both teams? I would entertain that. Yeah. And again, it depend a lot on what the contract length would look for AJ Brown. I think AJ Brown would rather be up in New England with Jesus Christ, I'm spacing on his name now. I'm starting to slow down here. With their coach, because AJ played with him in Tennessee. Oh God, it's pissing me off because I could see him in my head and I just can't think of his name right now. Starts with an M, I think. His last name starts with an M. But anyway, that is a trade that I would entertain. It depends on what the picks are. It depends a lot on the picks. The Raiders still have a lot of holes to fill. I feel like the offensive line has gotten much better with the Tyler Linderbaum potential signing. I'm going to keep saying potential till it's official. With him at center, to solidify that, a young center still. I think he's 26 or 27 years old. That tells me JPJ is going to be a guard, and I'm down. I'm cool with that. I'm down with that. Absolutely, JPJ. I wanted him. I wanted JPJ at center last year. Jackson Powers Johnson, but the powers that be last year, the guys that were having pissing contests with each other, uh, didn't know what they were doing with the offensive line, moving guys, to center that never played center before, and that's not a position where you can just jump in and kind of pick up right away. Some guys, guard to tackle to guard, they could pick it up. Guard to center, usually you have to be a center first, then a guard. If there's this like line calls and all that stuff, it's not easy. And the way they treated the center position last year was complete BS. And JPJ should have been our starting center last year. With that being said, the season before when he was at guard, I thought he did a good job. And then he went to center. I thought he's even better at center. Then you look at last year at guard when healthy. I thought he did a good job. So I'm excited to see Jackson Powers Johnson at guard, Linderbaum at center, Caleb Rogers, the other guard. I thought he did a phenomenal job at the end of the season. So for me personally, I have him marked in at the other guard right now, and Colton Miller at left tackle. We just got to figure out what's going on at right tackle. Is it DJ Glaze? Is he going to be our right tackle next year? He didn't do a great job at right tackle last year. So is he more of a guard? Is he somebody that we slide down the guard and kind of rotate in a guard? Charles, Jesus Christ, I can't think of his last name. We drafted him last year. He's a unproven tackle because again the last regime didn't want to play the rookies, felt like they weren't ready. So we don't know what the hell we have in a lot of these guys. We don't know what we have, and it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. The last regime didn't do this regime's any service from the way they handled the roster last year. They did not help us at all. Yes, thank you, Atlas the Aussie, Charles Grant. I knew Charles. See, but yeah, as you can tell, I'm starting to really stumble over my words here, so I'm slowing down a lot. All right, so got a couple more comments here. I'm gonna duck out after that. Alice the Aussie said that was unnecessary. Alice, are you a Denver fan? I'm just curious. Pap says New England just signed Romeo, $80 million, former wide receiver from Green Bay Packers, wide receiver. So I don't Brown to the Pats. Yeah, Romeo. What's that? Romeo Doubs or Dodds or something like that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I wasn't. I know AJ Brown wanted to go there, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. Then that reminds me of something else I wanted to bring up. That New England had a trade offer on a table for Max Crosby, but Tom Brady nixed that. He said, "There's no way we're trading Max Crosby to New England." So Tom Brady still is super butthurt over winning 6 Super Bowls in New England. I don't know what the hell the problem is there, but it is what it is. And I also heard some reports saying that the Bears had 2 first-round pick offers on the table, 2 first-round picks offered to the Raiders for Max Crosby before Baltimore, but because the Bears would be picking later, the Raiders went with the better choice, which was Baltimore, and here we are now. So if Max goes to the Bears, who knows? Maybe the Bears just overlooked that physical, and they say, no, we're good with it. We're fine. We're good. Bring them on. But not going to happen. It's going to be interesting. And also, there was reported, I think, by Diana Rossini last night that the Cowboys are out. They're happy with what they've done in free agency, and they're not looking to add Max Crosby. And again, that could be just posturing. Who knows? But he's out. But again, like I said, it was reported that there were several teams that have contacted the Raiders as of late last night or early this morning. I can't remember exactly what the timetable was about what it would take to get Max Crosby. So it's not over yet. It's not done. I still do believe he's going to get moved. And I think the Ravens are out. I don't think the Ravens are going to come back. Obviously, they just signed Trey Hendrickson, so obviously they're out. But there was some thoughts that maybe the Ravens come back and say, all right, a first and a second now, or a first and a third, or a couple seconds, or a second this year and a first next year. Who knows? But obviously, with that signing, they're done. KC Chief 4500 says respect, no serious question after the recent signings and Max being back. How will your guys cap look? So the way it looks by most reports, with Max being back, right now the Raiders sit between $37 and $38 million above the cap yet, or below the cap, however you want to look at it. And after the draft, after all the rookies are signed, you can kind of, with the rookie salary scale now, you can kind of figure out what that's going to cost you. So a rough estimate was like $22 million or so. So that gives the Raiders between $12 and $13 million still to play with after the rookie class is signed. So there's still room. There's still wiggle room, but not where the Raiders thought they would be or wanted to be. So, oh, son of a Atlas the Aussie, it's Guy. Guy, why are you Atlas the Aussie? And the Broncos can suck it. So, Pap says, good show, brother. Thank you, Pap. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for checking in. I really appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for checking in. But one last thought before I do get out of here and I hit the sack. I've been on for just about an hour now. Raiders have traded Geno Smith again. Nothing's official until 4 p.m. Eastern. But he did have his physical already with the Jets, and he passed. So it looks like that trade should move forward. A little bit interesting workings there with that trade. So they trade Geno and a 7th round pick for a 6th round pick, and the Raiders are going to pay the bulk of what he's owed this year, which was I think like $18.5 million or something like that. They're going to pay $16.2 million. And then the Jets are going to pay him $3.3 million, which gave him a like $1 million raise or something like that. So altogether, he's going to get like $19 million, almost $20 million. So Geno is will officially be gone after the contract is signed and the trade is official. And so before I do get out of here, when it was first reported that Maxx was traded to the Raiders, the one thing I thought was extremely odd, and yeah, everybody says the NFL's fixed, and I've always argued that it's not. But there's this one, there's always something that happens. You're like, is it fixed? Is this just like a fancy show that we watch here, like a soap opera or something? Because it was put out there, and I can't remember who it was, if it was Schefter or not. I feel like it was Schefter, but he announced that the Raiders have traded Maxx Crosby, superstar Maxx Crosby, to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 first-round picks, this year's 14 and a 2027 first-round pick. And then it said trade is not official until next week. And I sat there and I read that last week, or a couple days ago when it was when it all went down. I'm like, I've never really seen a post like that before where it said there's a trade that's going to happen, but it's not official until next week, for the new league year. I've never seen that put in a post before. And I'm thinking, like, why did he say that? And then, me being a Mets fan, we just had it, a few years ago with Carlos Correa, the Mets, they trade for, I think they just signed him. He's a free agent. That they signed him and came over and, failed his physical, and, he left. Yeah, I feel like it was, I'm trying to remember if the Mets didn't sign him, if they backed out of it because of his physical, or if he or I don't remember how it went that. But anyway, nothing's official until ink reaches that paper, and that's something I've always, after the Carlos Correa fiasco in New York with the Mets, I've always kind of went by that. I'm like, it's not official until it's official. It's not official until that ink is on the paper, that name is on there, and they're smiling, wearing the little ball cap and stuff like that. So, but when that final sentence in that post by Schefter said, trade's not official until next week, yeah, that kind of gave me pause, and I kind of head cocked sideways a little bit, like a yellow lab or a Labrador retriever looking for a piece of meat off the table or something. You know what whatever I'm trying to say here. But it was it was interesting. I've never seen that put into a post before about a trade during the off season. Of just a little snippet there. It's like, come, is the NFL, is it really fixed? Is it like really just like watching a an orchestrated soap opera here? Some foreshadowing and some trades here. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. But there's that. So finally, we got one more comment here before I sign off. What's it say? Kill, die, kill again. All right, there we go. Kill, die, kill again. I like that. It's like a good metal song there. Kill, die, kill again. God, yeah. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Rock and roll. Yeah. But anyway, he says everybody at work thinks Crosby's gone. I'm saying he's going to stay. I think he's gonna. I think he's gone as well. I'd like him to stay because nothing would be a bigger fu to everybody else. Like the Colin Cowards of the world, who's the Raiders are a dumpster fire of an organization. They've wasted Max's career, kind of stuff. Nothing would be a bigger fu than Maxx staying and the Raiders finally turning the ship around, and that'd be awesome. I mean, I think that's what every Raider fan looks at and would hope for. But also knowing the holes that still need to be filled, you have to wonder if the front office is kind of like, all right, he doesn't want to stay. He wants to win a Super Bowl. We're 2-3 years away from that yet. Even with the pieces that we just added this year, we're 2-3 years away from actually competing for a Super Bowl. And, by that time, Maxx is 32, 33 years old. So there's different angles to it. I want him to stay. I don't think he's going to stay. But I would be super pumped if he did stay. To add him to with the defensive pieces that the Raiders have already added. Yeah, Quay Walker, N'Kobe Dean, Kwity Paye, Eric Stokes, Malcolm Kuntz, uh, Taron Johnson. So and, some of the guys from last year, some of the rookies last year, they're only going to get better. Darian Porter, guys like that. You still have Jeremy Chin back. So it'd be exciting. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm not holding my breath. I still think he's going to be gone. Kim checking in, and Kim says he stays with a restructured contract, and that's another thing I heard is that from a couple other podcasts I've kind of trying to catch up on this morning before I came on live here, trying to get an idea of what other people are saying. Is that maybe he stays and he restructures his contract, open up more cap space to alleviate a little bit of that pinch that the Raiders did not think they were going to be in. There's always that possibility. So again, you're going to find more Raider fans than not that are going to want him to stay. You lost him, you felt the hurt, you get him back, you feel the joy, the happiness. You don't want to feel that hurt again. You're going to squeeze him a little bit harder. You're like, you're not going, but different angles to it. I want him to stay. I just don't think it's going to happen. I still think that they move on from him. It's not going to be for 2 firsts, which is a kicking in the nuts there. Raider News Central. What's up, Raiders News Central? Thanks for checking out the show. I appreciate it very much. Good morning. Good morning to you. It's been an interesting couple of days. Interesting 24, well, not even 24 hours, 12 hours basically, since all this news started breaking about Maxx, and then the questions, what happens to all the potential signings and this, that, and the other. We're going to find a lot out after 4 p.m. Eastern time when the new league year opens and New Year League starts, and see who signs and what goes on from there. So, what a bunch of craziness. And one last thing before I do again, I said this like 6 times so far. One last thing before I get out of here. I am tired, and I do have I'm excited. I have a tattoo consult today. I've never had a tattoo before. I'm gonna get some tattoos, and so I have to get up early for that. But anyway, not that anybody cares about that. The one thing that pisses me off is we know the Raiders have not been a very good franchise and not a very good ran franchise the last 20 some odd years, whatever it is. And the thing that stings most of all is when you have other fans of other teams or other uh, talking heads, gas bags, what have you, podcasters, talk show hosts talking about how the Raiders are a constant dumpster fire. When something like this happens, even though I believe it's 100% not the Raiders' fault, it's not this organization's fault. Ultimately, it's going to come down to, well, yeah, this organization is a dumpster fire. Of course, this is what happened. And I think that's the thing that pisses me off the most about that, because it's a historic franchise, it's an iconic franchise, and it sucks that we've been in the dumpster as long as we have been, and finally you start feeling good about it. Okay, we did lose Maxx, we did lose our face, our identity, our heart, but you can kind of start seeing like smart moves happening, and then this happens, and then oh yeah, it's just same old Raiders. It's not. This is not the Raiders' fault. This is 100% not the Raiders' fault. I don't believe this is Maxx Crosby's fault at all either. I don't feel like there was any information that was withheld from the Baltimore Ravens about his knee surgery. They knew what it was. They knew the time frame. They knew he wasn't going to pass the physical. And I've heard it from several podcasters, even before the trade happened, when there was talks about a trade, like, well, he just had knee surgery, he's not going to pass the physical, so the team that trades for him would either have to bypass the physical or accept that he doesn't pass the physical and still take on that trade. And the Ravens are like, well, he didn't pass his physical, we don't want it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So It's not a Raider thing. This is a Baltimore Raven thing. So that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I have to say about that. I am done. I am done talking. I appreciate everybody checking the show out. Uh, I'm gonna go live next Wednesday with my other show, the Bat Cave, back to my normal time with the Bat Cave. As the season's starting to get closer to starting up, I'm gonna start doing weekly shows of the Bat Cave again, and I'm gonna try to do weekly shows with the Raiders, the Silver and Black Lair, talking Raiders. Once everything is done and signed, and if Maxx gets traded again, I'll try to go live the following morning. It's hard for me to go live during the afternoon or at night, just because I have so much going on with my kids and stuff like that, and working at night. I don't have the time to get on and give the amount of time that's needed to do a proper show, where I'm not rushing through it and just skipping comments. I like to read every comment and kind of give my my thought or take on most of those comments. So if there's anything that happens during the day or at night with the Raiders, and it's big news, I will try to go live the next morning here on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. So be sure to check us out at OOT Box Sports. There we go. Out of the Box Sports, comment right there. Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. What's up, buddy? Great. Thank you, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Thank you. Atlas the Aussie, or AKA my coworker guy, says, "Good night, Kenny. We miss you." So yeah, real quick before I get out of here, if you want to help me out with some things, go ahead and check out W Energy Drink at www.w.gg. Use my promo code The Batcave. That's all one word, The Batcave, for 10% off your order at w.gg. Energy drink, good stuff there. It's a powder mix. I really enjoy it. It's a jitterless energy drink. So be sure to check that out and use my promo code. Once again, our YouTube channel here is at OOT Box Sports. I'm looking for it. I can't find the thing for it, so I'm not going to put it up. But my YouTube page also is, that's the W one here. Where the hell is Bat Fry Pods? There it is. My YouTube channel is at the Bat Fry Pods. If you want to subscribe to that, I appreciate it. If not, no big deal. It's just a little page. I try to put like a little stuff on every once in a while. Not a big deal, but absolutely subscribe to the Out of the Box Sports YouTube page at OOT Box Sports. Give them a follow on Facebook as well. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody. All right, that's all I have to say for real this time. I am getting the hell out of here. One more comment to go, and that's it. No more. Paul Spencer, the boss, the man, the honcho, checking in. What's up? He says, "Yo, what's up, Ken? Great to see the Bat Fry on the airways." Yes, Paul, I'm going to try to do it more often. Like I said, with the baseball season fast approaching here, I'd like to start doing the Bat Cave again weekly. Again, it's just going to be how I feel from week to week. If I'm a little bit too tired, I'm not going to hop on because I sound like shit then. And I'm already a scatterbrain to begin with, and it's even worse when I'm tired. So if anything breaks with the Raiders today, tomorrow, the next day, expect me to go live the following morning. That's why it's important for you to follow Out of the Box Sports Entertainment on YouTube at OOT Box Sports and hit that notification bell. That's it. I'm out of here. Good night, everybody. And remember, just win, baby. Raiders. See you.
Strong, let's break the mold. Chasing the stories yet unfold. Passion ignites like a blazing fire. Knowledge takes us higher, higher. Out of the box where the wild ones play. We see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. Alive with endless dreams. We're more than stats.